My name is Stephen Casey, and I'm a Christian brother. And I know that you have Christian brothers that are there at Bergen Catholic, and it's terrific to be with you today because each and every one of you freshmen, you made the right choice. 185 strong young men come to Bergen to start a new community. And what I want to say to you is this: the community, the Edmund Rice School community that you form at Bergen Catholic, is also all across this great world in which we live. And today, in welcoming you to Bergen Catholic, I want to share with you the whole Edmund Rice story. Because the better that you know the story, the better that you're going to become at being great men of Bergen Catholic, to be able to change the world where you live. So it all began in the 18th century, all right, on June 1st in 1762. And this man right here, this is a picture that you're going to see. This is Blessed Edmund Ignatius Rice. And you see this picture of him, and you'll see many different pictures of Edmund Rice in your school. He is the founder of the Christian Brothers. And he was born on June 1st in 1762. He was born to Margaret and Robert Rice. They had 7 sons. Edmund was the 4th son of 7. Margaret, his mother, all right, was in a previous marriage where her husband had passed away, and she had 2 daughters. So Edmund also had 2 stepsisters, and they're going to play an important part in his life as well. But what's really important is to remember this: the people in Ireland and what they went through for centuries, and the repression that they went through by the British. And all of them Irish Catholics in Ireland had to live under the penal laws. And what were those laws? No Catholic could own land. No Irish Catholic person could practice their religion. No Catholic person was to get an education. Think about those things. That's how they kept the Irish Catholic population poor. And the majority of people lived in poverty. So when you think about 90% of all the people that lived in Ireland in the 18th century were Catholic, but they only had 5% of the land because everything was controlled by the British. And the Irish Catholics couldn't practice their faith. They had to practice being an Anglican. And if they didn't, with that, they had to tithe. They had to pay money to the Church of Ireland, which was the Anglican Church during that time. But many of the Catholics practiced their faith in hiding. And they did it in hiding because their Catholicism was so very important to them. So when I speak to you about Edmund Rice, and I speak to you about the time period for which he lived, interesting enough, the Rice family had it a bit better than the majority of Catholics during this time. Why? Because the Rice family was able to rent land. They rented land from their landlord, a British landlord. And in the land that they rented, they harvested goods and made money. So they had access to money, which gave them access to be able to hire private tutors to be able to educate their children in their homes. So that's what happened with Edmund Rice during his lifetime. He did receive an education, and when he was 17 years old, he left County Kilkenny in Callan, where he was born, and he went to the big city of Waterford, and he worked at the port of Waterford. He worked in the shipping district, and he was an apprentice to his uncle. His uncle's name was Michael. So when he was there, he learned about trade. Michael, his uncle, filled the ships with everything that they needed to cross Europe and cross North America as well. So Edmund was a prosperous person. But most important about Edmund in his life, he was a very religious man, very religious. And so when he was making an awful lot of money during his lifetime period, he was helping other religious orders. He was helping Nanonagal and Mother Macaulay, helping the young girls. And when he was in the port every day working, he saw the conditions, how bad they were for the young boys. They had no education. And having no education in Ireland, they were living in poverty and living in the streets. Edmund, when he was around 20 years old, he got married. He married Mary Elliott. They were married for only 4 years because Mary had died, but also during that time period, she gave birth to a daughter before she died, and her name was Mary. She was a special needs child. So Edmund was married for 4 years, and after Mary, his wife's death, he was very sad, and his life began to change. And he turned to God and asked God, God, what is it that you want? What is it that you want of us? What is it you want of me with my life? And that's where Edmund Rice's sisters come into place. His sisters came in to take care of his special needs daughter. And it was then that Edmund began to think about a vocation. And he thought about leaving Ireland and going to England to become an Augustinian. But he, it's like the great story goes, just looking out the window right there in Waterford in the port, he saw all the poor boys and saw that they had no way to be able to help themselves during this time period. So Edmund's vocation was started as a brother. And as a brother, other young men followed him to be able to teach these young kids. And he set up his first school in 1802. 1802, right there in Waterford. And the name of that school was Mount Zion. Mount Zion. And in that school was an area with classrooms, an area with a bakery, and an area where they were able to make clothes. These kids were so poor, they didn't even have proper clothes to wear to school. So they had to produce that for them. They had the kitchen area because these kids were so hungry. They needed food before they started their education. And that's where it all began. So right there in Waterford, and then boom, come right now into the 21st century, the existence of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey. We are the same Christian brothers that began way back in the 19th century in 1802. So let me just show you a few things that we say. Right here in Spanish, because I'm in Peru, we speak Spanish here. We say, Vive Jesús en nuestros corazones por siempre. What does that mean? It means live Jesus in our hearts forever. Over and over in the next number of years, you're going to hear and see this expression, live Jesus in our hearts, and everybody says forever. Why do we do this? We do this for one reason. For each and every one of us in our community, this new Bergen community that you just became part of, we want to always acknowledge that Jesus lives in our hearts every day, forever. And when we do this, we don't just do it at Bergen Catholic. We're doing it across the whole Christian Brothers Edmund Rice North America. Christian Brothers Edmund Rice North America has 18 different schools. And right now, let's go through. I want to show you this. We talk about the Edmund Rice family around the world. In North America, we have 18. In North America, it means Canada and the United States. We have 18 schools. Here in Europe, which is Ireland, Northern Ireland, and England, we have 110 schools. Down here in South America, we have 5 schools. 2 right here in Peru, 1 up the coast in a port city, just like Waterford was. We have a school called Mundo Mejor, and right below, right here in the city of Lima, we have a school called Fe y Alegría with 1,500 students. We also have a school down here in Montevideo in Uruguay called Stella Maris, a co-ed high school, and then cross the River Plate area, and you are in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and that's where we have a school for all boys, 1,000 students called Cardinal Newman. And then we have a mission in Bolivia, in a place called Cochabamba. What is this mission? It's not a school. It is an area of classrooms where so many street kids come to get an education because they may be 14, 15, they're your age, but they're not allowed, to go to school because their parents tell them that they have to go out into the big city of Cochabamba to be able to what? Many of the guys What do? They're shoe shiners. And many of the girls, they go on the buses selling fruits and vegetables and different things, trying to raise money. And when they have enough money after 2 or 3 weeks, they head back up into the mountains, up into where their families live, and give them the money that they made. And then another time during the year, they have to come down again when the family needs. That's what life is like when people have to live in the poverty that exists in the world in which we live. Come over to Africa. This Edmund Rice network has 25 schools in Africa. Go to India. India, we have 22 schools, and in Australia and New Zealand, we have 85 schools in our mission. But the Christian Brothers just don't have schools. We have schools all over the world, but we also have many missions or projects. And these are projects that work with the poor, projects that work with myself. I work in an immersion program. I'm going to show you a picture over here right now. Here's a picture of these young men. They're right very close to here. You know, when we talk about the Pacific Ocean, all these young men here are from Bergen Catholic, and they all came down here to Peru a number of years back, and they came here to do one thing. They came to be in solidarity with the poor. What does that mean? It means that they wanted to be one with their brothers and sisters made poor in the world in which we live. And I'm going to speak more to you about that, but I'm very proud that these young men, they get off their block of where they live. They might come from middle-class areas. They may come from rich areas, but they wanted to what? Come across the great ocean, the Atlantic, to the Pacific, to come to Peru, to be able to what? Walk with their brothers and sisters who are poor in the world. We're gonna speak more to them in a little while. What I want to tell you right now is this: show you something else. This here is the icon of Blessed Edmund Rice, and you're gonna see this icon. You'll see it in your school building, but you'll also hopefully your theology teachers, your freshman teachers, will walk you through. This icon has many different parts. And every different part plays an aspect of the life of Edmund Rice. For example, here is a lamb. And then talk about the Lamb of God. Talking about what? How important the Eucharist is to Edmund Rice. Up here, we have Mary, the Mother of God, and how important Mary was. Here we have Edmund Rice in prayer. His faith, how important his faith was. And here we have him helping solidarity with the poor, the poorest kids in his community. Right here, I want to show you another symbol. You'll see this symbol a lot. This is the Christian Brothers cross. And the cross is round in the sense that it talks about our Celtic, all right, our Irish ancestry. It's green. As you know, green is what? Ever-growing, everlasting, and we have new sprouts. And these are all the new missions that are opening up, and we find them in North America, you know, with our missions that we have in Our Lady of Guadalupe School in Brownsville, and also our Mission Prayer program that we have in Miami. But we also have many new initiatives going on in the Christian Brothers in India, in Africa, and other parts of the world. But as I talk to you today, in our 18 schools in North America, where are they? Just so you know, these schools are part of the network as well. Let's start in Hawaii. On the island of Oahu, we have a school called Damien Memorial. And then you come over to California, and we come to Salinas, California, and we have a school called Palma High School. Then you come up the coast to Seattle, Washington. We have a school called O'Day High School. Come up the coast to British Columbia in Canada. We have 2 schools. We have Vancouver College and we have St. Thomas More Collegiate. Come across to the middle of the United States. We come to Chicago in Illinois. We have 2 schools in Chicago, Brother Rice Chicago and St. Lawrence. Come down and we come to a place called Mississippi. And in Mississippi, we have a school in Jackson called St. Joseph's. Come down here on the border with Mexico. We have a school called Our Lady of Guadalupe Middle School. Come across, and we find ourselves in Tampa Catholic High School. Come up the coast, And there we are in New Jersey, Bergen Catholic. Come into New York. We have Iona College. We have Iona Prep. We also have All Hallows High School in the Bronx. And come up a little further, we have Bishop Hendricken in Rhode Island, Catholic Memorial in Boston, and we finish off in Michigan in a place called Brother Rice, Michigan, and one more school in New York, which is Bishop Kearney High School in New Jersey. All of those 18 schools, many of them are all boys, some of them are co-ed, some of them are grammar schools, some of them are high schools, and along with Iona College, the university that we have, make up our province. And I want to welcome each and every one of you young men to the Edmund Rice Network and our province of North America. But in these 18 schools, we have 7 essential elements. Come over here. Essential elements of a Christian Brothers education. What makes Bergen Catholic, as well as every other Christian Brothers school in our network, a Christian Brothers school? Well, number one, let's start. Evangelize youth. What does that mean, to evangelize youth? To evangelize means to bring the gospel to. And that is our job as Christian Brothers, but more importantly, with all of our lay colleagues, all of your teachers. What do? We bring the gospel to you each and every day. Number two is, how do we do it? We do it by proclaiming and witnessing Catholic identity. We do it through our religion classes and everything that you learn about our faith. We do it through the retreat programs that you have. You do it through the campus ministry program that you have at Bergen. We do it through all the elements that help bring the community being a witness. I want you to think about all your new brothers that you've just made, 185 strong at Bergen Catholic. How do you, think about it yourself, each and every one of you, think of it right now. How do you help build this new community at Bergen Catholic? How do you turn around and make sure that as a freshman at Bergen, there's never going to be bullying going on? That you realize that every single person to your left and to your right now in your classroom, they are your brothers, all right? And as your brothers, we treat everybody with respect, we treat them with love, and we share our lives with one another, and we help one another. So when somebody is down, we always lift them up. And also, how do you know, like when you're in the lunch table, if people are alone or sitting by themselves, we're a community that always brings other people together. So when you find out people in need in your classes, in your freshman class, help them to become the best members that they can be by always adding people to your community and not separating people. That's how you get to evangelize youth the best way. Right now, I want to talk to you about something that means the most to me: solidarity with the marginalized. Who are the marginalized? The marginalized are those who live on the outskirts of our community, those who don't feel comfortable within our community. How do you and I make them a part of our community? Who are the poor? Who are the poor in your own community? Who are the students in your school that are poor? How can you help them each and every day? That's a really important thing. You know, if so many kids have access to many things, and some of our brothers in our own class don't even have access to things that we do, how do we include them and make them part of our own? We call that solidarity. One with our brothers and sisters in the world made poor. And that's an important question there, made poor. Because as long as we have more and more and more, we just keep adding things to what we have, other people have less and less and less. Let me show you this community to which I live in. Right now, you get to see a community. Right down here, we see a typical house, and it's made out of wood, and it's made of different types of wood, and it's a metal sheet above. And in these homes, there's 4 or 5 people living in one bedroom, one area. And as you can see, over time, usually they live in this type of a house for 6 or 7 years, and then they build more and more. And then if they're here for 10 or 15 years and they have access to some money, they start building with the bricks. But this is Lima. Lima's a desert. Nobody here has access to running water. 1.5 million people that live in the suburbs of Lima, Peru, do not have access to running water. And so what they have is these water tanks. And these tanks that you see down here, water trucks have to come and they have to deliver it. And one thing you're always going to learn, the poor pay more for everything than people who are middle class or rich. The poor always pay more. For the same equivalent of water of that tank, I would pay maybe $1, or maybe $1.50. They would pay $2 to $3 to have that tank filled. Why? Because they have to pay for people to come to this community in trucks. The trucks need gasoline. You have to pay the workers, and that's why they always have to pay more. This community, nobody has supermarkets. There's no supermarkets near here at all. And because of the fact that we have electricity, but people don't have refrigerators, people have to shop every day. They go to the market every day to be able to what? Buy the food that they need to be able to eat for the day. That's what we call people living in poverty. And all of these people live in what we call extreme poverty. They survive on less than $2 a day. Some of you might have more than $2 in your pocket right now. And that's fine. That's what we do, how we live. We have that. We might buy our lunch, or we might but $2 is what they have to survive on. So they have to clean their homes, they have to buy water, they have to pay their electricity, they have to buy their food, they have to buy clothes for their kids, all on $2 American a day. That's how difficult it is for people that live in poverty. Let's continue moving on. Number 4, we foster a community of faith. 5, we celebrate the dignity of each and every person. How important you are to each and every one of us. All right? Dignity. That's why when we help the poor in the world in which we live, we turn around and what? We bring human dignity, and everyone deserves to have that dignity, not just people who have access to wealth. So how do we bring that dignity? Think about all the things that you're going to learn about how Bergen does that. Bergen Catholic, and how they do their Thanksgiving drives and their Christmas drives, how they help people during the Easter season. They might have sock drives, they might have clothing drives. They have so many different ways of being able to help the poor that live in Bergen County. I hope each and every one of you, by the time that you graduate from Bergen Catholic in 4 years' time, I hope you have a love of the poor. That is my goal and my gift, to be able to teach young people around our province the great gifts that the poor have to teach us about our lives. The poor have an awful lot to be able to teach us. Do we need everything that we have? How much do we just accumulate and never use? How can we learn to share it with the people made poor? We share responsibility. You and I can't do this alone. We do this together. You do it with your teachers. You do it with your administrators. We build this Edmund Rice family together, and we pursue excellence in all endeavors. Pursue excellence. And I want you to know, when we talk about the solidarity, and I said to you here, I showed you these young men from Bergen Catholic, who came down here over the years. And here we have, just more pictures. These are people from young men from Iona Prep in New Rochelle, and the house that they just built. These are young men from Bishop Hendricken. And this is all they brought down an awful lot of school supplies. This right here is our students from Chicago. They come down and they work in the preschool that we have. This is our students from Brother Rice in Michigan coming down to Peru, and they're painting a house they just finished. And this is students from our school in Boston, Massachusetts, Catholic Memorial, CM. And they're there playing with a few of the students that we have. I just want to show you something. And this is what I want you to believe. I said, in South America, we have 5 missions. We asked every student, parents in those communities to give us one word, everybody, one word that says something about the Edmund Rice community. We did this in Argentina, we did it in Bolivia, we did it in Uruguay, and we did it here in Peru. and after asking everybody to share one word, the word that came out most, the word compassion. That's incredible. Each and every one of you young men, you guys go to Bergen Catholic. It is a school of compassion. What else did they learned so much about Edmund. They learned about building a community of inclusion, community, Edmund, leadership, and then so many other words: respect, harmony, consciousness, integration, one with the other, the heart, the young, the voiceless. This is a great understanding. When you look at this and see, you say, hey, this map here is kind of tell you what the Edmund Rice family is all about. And this, I can promise you, is what Bergen Catholic is all about. So when you make your decision to become part of the Bergen Catholic community, you have dedicated your life to not only Bergen Catholic, but to the worldwide family of Edmund Rice. And we hope over the next 4 years that you'll be doing Zoom meetings in your classrooms with people in Africa, people in Australia, who are also part of the Edmund Rice community. And I can tell you, when I went to Powell Memorial Academy, 1979, I was a freshman, and I loved it. It was a Christian Brothers school right in the middle of Manhattan, and our backyard was Central Park. How about that? You open that back door of the school, and it opened up 1 block away from Central Park, and that's where we had all our sports and our activities every afternoon. You want to make the best of being at Bergen Catholic? Get involved. Don't be that student that goes home when the school bell rings. When that bell rings, join a club, join a sporting activity, build a community of brothers at Bergen Catholic over the next couple of years. These years are going to go so very fast. Be on top of your education. Be on top of your grades. Remember always the sacrifices that your parents make for you to get the very best education there in Bergen Catholic. So I am really proud and excited that you have helped join us, the Edmund Rice World Community. Today is your very first day at Bergen. It's your orientation day, and I hope that you feel comfortable in your school, and I hope that the world is better because of the great love that you're going to bring to Bergen Catholic over the next 4 years. So from Lima, Peru, I want to say thank you. Welcome. I hope to see you around school during the year when I get to go home. I haven't gotten home in 2 years because of COVID, but next Saturday I'm going home for the first time to see my family that live down in on the Jersey Shore. I also live in Brooklyn and up in Pearl River, but I'm so excited to get home and back to the United States. So wish you all the very best. Enjoy your freshman year and become great students and members of the Bergen Catholic community. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.